Am I the bad guy for always going to the movies by myself despite having a girlfriend? Hey there, everyone. Today I want to share a little story about my relationship and a recent movie outing that turned into quite the dilemma. So grab your popcorn and let's dive in. I'm a 31-year-old guy who has always enjoyed going to the movies alone. It's my little escape, my way to unwind and enjoy a good film without any distractions. I've been doing this for years, ever since I started earning my own money. I usually go about once or twice a month, and I've developed a bit of a routine. You see, I have tinnitus, which means I have this constant ringing in my ears. When I'm at the movies, I focus on the film to drown out that noise. It's my time to relax and immerse myself in another world. Now, I've been dating this wonderful woman named Zoe for about 6 months. She's 29, sweet, and we get along really well. We haven't had any major fights, which is a plus. However, there's one little hiccup. Zoe is quite chatty, while I tend to be more on the quiet side. Early in our relationship, I mentioned my preference for solo movie outings, and she seemed totally fine with it. I thought, great, we can balance our differences. To make up for my movie habit, I've been trying to engage in activities she enjoys, like brunches, hiking, and even watching her favorite shows. So here's where things get interesting. A few days ago, I finally went to see the new Avatar movie. I had been waiting for the crowds to thin out, and it was the perfect time. I planned to grab dinner with Zoe afterward, so I texted her to let her know my plans. As I settled into my seat at the cinema, I noticed it was almost empty, except for 2 women a couple of seats away. As the movie started, one of them suddenly called my name. It turned out to be an old coworker of mine. We exchanged pleasantries, and while they chatted a bit during the film, I didn't mind. I was there to enjoy the movie after all. Once the credits rolled, I stepped out of the cinema and spotted Zoe waiting for me at the entrance. She had come to surprise me. I introduced her to my coworker, and after a quick goodbye, we headed out for dinner. But as soon as we sat down, I noticed Zoe's mood had shifted. It was like someone had flipped a switch. Throughout dinner, she seemed distant, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Finally, when we were in the car, I asked her what was wrong. That's when she expressed her frustration. She was upset that I had gone and watched a movie with some other woman, while she wasn't invited. Apparently, she was a huge fan of the Avatar movies, a fact I had no clue about until that moment. I tried to explain that it was just a coincidence, and that I only chatted with my coworker out of politeness. She told me that watching movies was my special thing, and she felt hurt that I shared that experience with someone else when she couldn't be there. I could see how much this meant to her, but I was at a loss for words. I thought I could lighten the mood with some small talk, but it didn't work out that way. By the time I dropped her off at her place, she was quiet, and I could tell she was still upset. Now it's been a few days, and I haven't heard from her. She hasn't responded to my texts, and I'm left wondering if I did something wrong. I've never really dated much before, and this is my first serious relationship. I can't help but question whether my preference for watching movies alone makes me the bad guy in this situation. So dear viewers, what do you think? Am I in the wrong for wanting to enjoy movies solo? Or is Zoe overreacting? I'd love to hear your thoughts and any advice you might have on how to navigate this tricky situation. Let me take you back to a moment in my life that sparked quite the conversation. I'm a 31-year-old guy who has always cherished the experience of going to the movies alone. It's my personal escape, a chance to immerse myself in a story without distractions. My girlfriend, who is 29, and I had never really discussed our movie preferences in depth. I assumed she was okay with my solo outings, especially since I had a habit of going to the cinema on my own. One day, I found myself at the theater, and as fate would have it, I bumped into a female colleague from a previous job. We exchanged pleasantries and left the theater together, but little did I know that this innocent encounter would send my girlfriend into a tailspin of emotions. When she saw me walking out with another woman, her reaction was immediate and intense. She was upset, and I didn't hear from her for days. After a few days of silence, she finally texted me. In her message, she apologized for her absence, explaining that she had been dealing with some family issues that required her full attention. I understood, as I was aware of some of the family drama she was facing. We decided it was time to meet in person to talk things out, so I picked her up, and we headed to a cozy coffee shop near her home. Once we settled in with our drinks, she wasted no time in apologizing for her outburst. She admitted that after reflecting on her actions, she realized how unreasonable she had been. I had to know what had triggered such a strong reaction, so I gently asked her to share her thoughts. That's when she opened up about her past. About a year before we met, she had caught her ex-boyfriend cheating on her. She had gone to surprise him with lunch, only to find him leaving work with his arm around another woman. The moment she saw me with my colleague, it triggered those painful memories, and her anxiety flared up. It was a raw and vulnerable moment, and I could see how deeply it affected her. To add to the complexity, she revealed that her best friend had planted some seeds of doubt in her mind about me. This friend had warned her that I seemed too quiet and gave off a shady vibe. Although she initially brushed off the warning, it lingered in her thoughts, contributing to her insecurities. As she shared her feelings, I sat in silence, processing everything she was saying. It was a lot to take in, but I knew we needed to discuss how to move forward. She acknowledged that her reaction was unreasonable and expressed her desire to work through this together. I felt relieved, as I didn't want to end our relationship over what was essentially a misunderstanding. However, I also knew that she needed to address her unresolved feelings about her past relationship. I gently suggested that she consider talking to someone, perhaps a therapist, to help her navigate her insecurities. She agreed that she would work on herself, but didn't think therapy was necessary just yet. I encouraged her to keep it in mind and assured her of my support. After our heartfelt conversation, we found ourselves laughing about her nosy friend and how she really should mind her own business. It felt good to reconnect, and we left the coffee shop feeling much better about our relationship. In the days that followed, I invited her to watch a movie with me on Valentine's Day. While I still planned to enjoy my solo movie outings, I realized that including her in this part of my life could strengthen our bond. I appreciated the advice I received from the online community, which helped me reflect on our situation while I waited for her response. Ultimately, I believe we reached a positive outcome. It was a journey of understanding, and I'm hopeful that we can continue to grow together. Thank you for joining me on this reflective journey, and I hope it resonates with anyone navigating similar challenges in their relationships. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where your personal interests clash with your relationship? That's exactly what happened to me, and it all started with my love for going to the movies. Now I know what you might be thinking. What's the big deal? Well, let me take you through my story. I've always been a movie buff. There's something magical about sitting in a dark theater, popcorn in hand, and getting lost in a story. So, when I started dating my girlfriend, I thought it would be great to share this passion with her. But as time went on, I realized that my love for solo movie outings didn't quite align with her expectations. You see, my girlfriend enjoyed spending time together, and while I loved our movie dates, I also cherished those moments when I could just go to the theater alone. It wasn't that I didn't want to spend time with her, I just found joy in the freedom of experiencing a film on my own terms. I thought it was perfectly fine to enjoy a movie solo now and then, but she didn't see it that way. One day, after a particularly fun movie outing with friends, I casually mentioned that I had gone to see a film by myself. The look on her face was priceless, confusion mixed with a hint of disappointment. She asked me why I didn't invite her, and I explained that sometimes I just wanted to enjoy a movie without any distractions. I figured it was a harmless preference, but she felt differently. As our conversation unfolded, I could sense the tension rising. She expressed that she felt left out and that it seemed like I didn't want to include her in something I loved. I tried to reassure her that it wasn't about her at all. It was just my way of unwinding. But the more I explained, the more I could see her frustration growing. After a long discussion, we reached a resolution, or so I thought. I dropped her off at home, and just when I thought we were on the same page, her 6-year-old nephew decided to make things interesting. He had been watching a lot of dramatic TV shows, and mistaking our conversation for a breakup, he unleashed his tiny chihuahua on me, labeling me a bad ex. Picture this: a little dog, barely the size of my foot, charging at me with all the ferocity a chihuahua can muster. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. Thankfully, the little pup was more bark than bite, and I managed to escape without any injuries, just a bruised ego and a funny story to tell. In the end, I realized that my love for solo movie outings wasn't the problem. It was about finding a balance in our relationship. We both learned to communicate better about our needs and expectations. And while I still enjoy my solo movie adventures, I make sure to include her in the ones that matter most. Am I the bad guy for wanting to enjoy movies alone? Or is it just a matter of finding common ground in a relationship? Either way, I can say that my adventures in the cinema are far from over, and I'm excited to see where they lead next.